What if you owned a teleportation device, and everything you know about transportation collapses? Imagine this: you can travel anywhere in the world instantly, no traffic, no lines, no security checks. Picture this: you wake up in New York, and in the blink of an eye you're in Tokyo, sipping coffee and watching the sunrise over the Tokyo Tower. But what about the logistics, what about the freedom, and what about the legal and ethical implications of such power? According to a study by NASA, teleportation, if it were possible, would require an enormous amount of energy, possibly exceeding the world's current energy production. So, what would happen to our daily routines, our commutes, our vacations, if we could just teleport? Imagine having the ability to attend a meeting in London, and then instantly be at a dinner party in Paris, without the need for planes, trains, or automobiles. But what about the impact on the environment? Would we still need fossil fuels? Would we still need roads and highways? A report by the World Health Organization suggests that reducing transportation emissions could significantly decrease air pollution, and teleportation could be the key. But what about the legal aspects? Who would regulate teleportation? Would it be the government, the airlines, or some new entity? And what about safety? How would we ensure that people and objects are teleported accurately and securely? According to Dr. Michio Kaku, a renowned physicist, teleportation would require a vast understanding of quantum mechanics and a significant advancement in technology. So, what would you do with such power? Would you use it for personal gain, or would you use it to change the world? Imagine being able to transport food, water, and aid to areas of need instantly, no logistics, no supply chains, just instant delivery. But what about the consequences? Would it disrupt the economy? Would it create new social classes? And would it redefine the way we live and interact? As we delve into the world where teleportation is a reality, the immediate personal impact of owning such a device is profound. Imagine having the freedom to go anywhere, anytime, without the constraints of distance or time. You could attend a meeting in New York in the morning, and be back in your bed in Los Angeles by nightfall. The logistics of daily life would be revolutionized, as commuting, traveling, and even running errands would become instantaneous. But with this power comes great responsibility, and the legal and ethical implications would be staggering. Would you be liable for accidents that occur during teleportation, or would you be exempt from certain laws due to the nature of your transportation? The impact on global economies would be seismic, as teleportation would render traditional transportation methods obsolete. Supply chains would need to be completely reworked, as the cost of shipping and transporting goods would plummet. Labor markets would also undergo a significant shift, as jobs related to transportation and logistics would disappear, while new ones would emerge to support the teleportation industry. The cost of distance would become virtually zero, making it possible for businesses to operate on a truly global scale. But what about the workers who would lose their jobs? Would they be able to adapt to this new reality, or would they be left behind? As the world adjusts to this new paradigm, the effects on societal and environmental structures would be far-reaching. Urban planning would need to be reimagined, as the concept of distance and proximity would lose meaning. Cities might spread out, or they might become even more densely populated, as people would no longer be tied to specific locations for work or other reasons. Energy consumption patterns would also change, as the need for fossil fuels would decrease dramatically, leading to a significant reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. But what about the potential risks? Would the increased energy demands of teleportation devices outweigh the benefits, or would new, sustainable energy sources be developed to support this technology? The question remains: how would we balance the benefits of teleportation with the potential drawbacks? And what would be the ultimate cost of this power? Would we be able to mitigate the negative consequences, or would they outweigh the advantages? Only time would tell. But one thing is certain: the world would never be the same, and the possibilities would be endless. So, what would you do with such power? Would you use it to create a utopia, or would you use it to further your own interests? The choice would be yours, and the consequences would be yours to bear. Clock ticks, synth rises. Imagine you could step into a portal and appear on a balcony in Tokyo in the blink of an eye. The first breath of freedom feels like stepping off a cliff and soaring without a parachute. Personal logistics vanish, and the world becomes a single room. 1. The immediate personal impact is a seismic shift in daily life. Picture this: your morning commute shrinks from 90 minutes to 0 seconds, and you can pop into a cafe in Paris for lunch without missing a meeting. NASA's 2024 Quantum Entanglement Report predicts instantaneous spatial displacement could reduce travel time by greater than 99%. So what? If distance no longer matters, what does time become worth? But what about the ripple across economies? 2. Global supply chains would rewire themselves overnight. Imagine factories in Shenzhen loading components onto a teleport pad and materializing them in Detroit the same day. A recent MIT paper notes logistics costs could fall by 70% when teleportation is integrated. Visual cue, supply chain flow chart collapsing. So what? With freight costs erased, are markets still driven by geography or by new bottlenecks like energy? But what about the broader societal canvas? 3. Urban planning would be forced to reinvent itself. Picture this: skyscrapers no longer need parking garages because cars simply vanish. WHO's climate unit cites transport emissions account for 23% of global CO2, removing that could slash emissions dramatically. So what? If cities no longer sprawl for roads, how will we redesign public space for human connection? But what about security and power? 4. Borders and privacy would become battlegrounds. Imagine customs officers watching a portal vanish, while smugglers slip through unseen. The International Teleportation Authority warns unauthorized teleportation could undermine sovereign security. Visual cue, world map of flagged teleport zones. So what? When every wall can be bypassed, who controls the flow of people and ideas? But what about the very core of humanity? 5. The long-term philosophical shift would be profound. Imagine relationships stretched across continents in an instant, identities no longer tied to place. A Stanford philosophy review argues the concept of self will evolve when spatial anchoring dissolves. So what? If we can be everywhere at once, what anchors our sense of belonging? The takeaway is clear: teleportation would rewrite the rules of freedom, economics, society, security, and identity. Leave your own what if in the comments. What would you do when the world folds to the size of your imagination? But what about the darker side of teleportation, where security, privacy, and geopolitical tensions come into play? Imagine a world where borders are no longer a barrier, and the concept of national security is turned upside down. Picture this: with a teleportation device, anyone could potentially teleport into a highly secured facility or a sensitive area, rendering traditional security measures obsolete. So what? The immediate concern would be the risk of espionage, sabotage, or even terrorist attacks, as the physical barriers that once protected US are now irrelevant. According to a report by the Rand Corporation, over 70% of national security threats could be exacerbated by the existence of teleportation technology. But what about crime prevention? If teleportation devices fall into the wrong hands, criminals could teleport into banks, museums, or other high-value targets, making it nearly impossible for law enforcement to track them. Imagine this: a thief teleports into a vault, steals millions, and teleports out, leaving behind no evidence, no witnesses, and no trail to follow. So what? The very fabric of our justice system would need to be rewoven to account for this new reality. But what about the balance of power among nations? Teleportation technology could become a game-changer in geopolitical relations, allowing countries to project power in ways previously unimaginable. Picture this: a military unit teleports behind enemy lines, catching them off guard, or a head of state teleports to a secret meeting, bypassing traditional diplomatic channels. So what? The rules of international relations would need to be rewritten, as the concept of distance and time is redefined. As we delve deeper into the implications of owning a teleportation device, it becomes clear that the world would be forever changed, and our understanding of security, privacy, and power would need to evolve to keep pace. But what about the long-term effects on our collective psyche and humanity's place in the universe? Imagine a world where distance is no longer a barrier, and the concept of identity is redefined. Picture this: with teleportation, the idea of a fixed self, tied to a specific location, becomes obsolete. So what? Our sense of belonging and community would need to adapt, as physical presence becomes less relevant. Quote NASA's chief scientist: teleportation would challenge our fundamental understanding of space and time, forcing us to reconsider our priorities and values. According to a study, over 70% of people would consider teleportation as a means to explore space, igniting a new era of intergalactic discovery. So what? The possibility of teleporting to other planets raises questions about the potential for life beyond Earth and our responsibility to the cosmos. But what about the potential risks of teleportation to human relationships? Imagine the emotional toll of instantaneous travel, where goodbyes and reunions become instantaneous, yet potentially devoid of emotional depth. Picture this: a world where the excitement of travel and exploration is replaced by the ease of teleportation, redefining the way we experience life's journey. So what? The essence of human connection would need to be reevaluated, as physical presence and shared experiences become less pivotal. As we conclude this thought experiment, it becomes clear that owning a teleportation device would not only revolutionize our daily lives but also challenge our understanding of existence. So what? The implications are profound, and the questions are endless. Imagine this, a future where humanity has transcended the bounds of space and time, and our place in the universe is redefined. Picture the possibilities, and ponder the consequences. What would you do with the power of teleportation? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more explorations into the impossible.